multiple award-winning actor, the incredible...
Do you know, it looks amazing, and I've been here so many times. I've performed here, I did Handel's Messiah here, I've been to proms, I've been to, what else have I been to here? Like countless things. So it's so great to be here. Mary Debenham is a governess, and she is sort of simply quite ahead of her time. And then the things I got to do with Ken, the relationship between Poirot and Mary, is really cool because she is smart and she's like knows who he is, so she can keep up with him, and it's like a fun learning experience. I remember with Ken having a conversation about when people play a lie, do you play the truth or the lie, or like what is it you're doing? Because to look like a person who's lying, like how do you do it? So it was fun sort of having, not a facade, but fun doing the two things of like the interplay, and it's all fun, and then, you know, when it gets down to it, the solid truth of her and of what's gone on. It was, honestly, I couldn't believe that it had, happened. Like I got the call and I was like, are you sure? Is this like a dream? And then every day I was just blown away. And then it felt very wonderful and relaxed, and that in itself was wonderful because I didn't expect that going in. Just so lucky. Do you know, weirdly quickly, because I remember, apparently, because I can't remember it, at the beginning I went, that's bold. First thing I said, and Ken was like, good, and I was like, no, good, bold. And then you do sort of forget. And then Ken's been talking about the psychological aspect that obviously we don't know about because he's the director, of it disarms people. And it really does, because there's something that you're sort of distracted by that you don't even realise you're distracted by. And suddenly, and like during an interrogation, and suddenly it's like, oh, and the truth outs from underneath this behemoth of a moustache. Of anyone who isn't open to or doesn't know this story, it's an amazing story. Of anyone who loves Agatha Christie, it's a continuation of an amazing story that they would know before. But essentially, it's a lovely. It's a story about a group of people, which is I don't know. It's just I think that appeals to people in a world that's very divisive. It's nice to come together.
Well, it's certainly an incredibly striking lights up the night sky thing here with Royal Albert Hall, which is the kind of place that Agatha Christie went to, and it's the kind of interior that's reflects the interior of our of our train. So it's amazing and special. Well, it needed to be pacey. It needed to do what Agatha Christie does, which is keep 12, 15 performances and actors, exciting and interesting, and to dazzle and keep the puzzle alive. And with these amazing actors, you get a chance to do that, and to do that on 70mm, where everybody has a chance to see those amazing faces in sort of forensic detail. That was a chance to kind of put the audience both on the train, in the world, and also kind of getting to make their own point of view about whether people are lying or not. We start the film quite differently from the novel and from the previous film version. We end the film differently. We have some characters in there who are also different. So one way or another, I think we divert, and if you're like me, crime fiction fan, but they tell me who did it, and 10 minutes later I forget. So I think it might be a surprise, even if people think they know it. Preparation for Poirot was key. Doing that for months and months ahead of time, the moustache and the accent and the walk and the clothes, and then on the day embracing the fact that a director and a detective are both searching for the truth.
It's extraordinary, it's amazing, I've never seen anything like it. I play the Countess ANDRENYI, who's an ex-ballerina and has become decidedly nocturnal, and is a character shrouded in mystery. It was such an extraordinary experience and so unique. I mean, especially the way that Ken works. Because of his background in theatre, he has a very different and specific approach, which is nothing I've experienced before, and was a whole learning experience, but just the most incredible time. So most of the time on film sets, you assume you're going to have to kind of fill in the gaps and work hard to really feel in that time, in that place. But with this set, you arrive on set and it's done for you. You're completely transported. So the craftsmanship was stunning.
Josh, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Nice to meet you. Yeah, good to see you too. We're just angling you so we don't...
Yes, where would you like me?
That's good. If you...
Great.
I'm kind of there. That's perfect. Firstly, how is it? What do you make of this place?
Well, it's stunning. I mean, is there a more incredible place to premiere a movie than this? I particularly love the torches. I feel like I'm suddenly in the land of King Kong. It's a very tribal, cool thing. But it's a thrill. I've never premiered a movie here, but it's now I'm going to be spoiled and demand that each one of my films premiere here.
Yeah, I can see how that's going to work. You're going to turn up somewhere else and be like, yeah.
No, guys, no.
So, can you tell us a bit about your character without telling us too much?
Yeah, Hector McQueen is Johnny Depp's assistant. Covers up a lot of his secrets. And at a certain point, that starts to affect him a little bit. Now, whether or not he's a criminal or not, you'll have to see when the movie premieres.
Derek Jacobi mentioned earlier that the camaraderie on this set came together very quickly and very markedly. What was your experience of that?
It was stunning because you don't know what to expect with this many personalities, but it was apparent to us on day one that this group just clicked, and there was a camaraderie that was exceptional, and we all made each other laugh, and everything was fun, so it made it easy.
So Kenneth is wearing two hats in this production, probably more actually, but
yeah.
The two most obvious ones, he's in it and he's directing it. How does that work as a sort of working dynamic?
It's amazing. You feel like you have not only a sparring partner, but you feel like you have somebody that you can trust on both sides of the equation. And because he understands the process of an actor, he's so sympathetic to what it takes in order for us to do our best work. And it's really an exceptional gift that he has to be able to juggle all of these things. And trust me, it was more than just acting and directing.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's that moustache.
Yes, just wearing that alone required a lot of skill.
Did you have moustache envy?
I did have mustache envy. I mean, his was just so epic. Mine is just sad and paltry.
Cool. Any personal highlights for you on this production?
Every day was a highlight. When you have a cast this extraordinary, an all-star cast like this, you sort of pinch yourself. Leslie Odom Jr. and I, we both went to school together in the same class, and we literally studied. Our curriculum for Shakespeare was watching the works of Dame Judi Dench, watching the works of Sir Derek Jacobi, Sir Kenneth Branagh. Now being on a set, having them at your disposal, having them right there, it's unbelievable. It's wish fulfillment.
Last question. This is a classic story. What are you hoping about it will resonate particularly with modern audiences?
You know, there's something so refreshing as you sit back and you watch this movie on the big screen where you forget that Hollywood used to make these types of movies, and somewhere along the way they stopped. And in a market that's cluttered with the same kinds of movies over and over again, it feels like Murder on the Orient Express really stands out. And I'm excited for people to have the opportunity to see something completely different.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Seems like they've done it
It looks
overnight.
spectacular. It was exciting and lovely to work, of course, with Ken again, and a lot of other friends. And I'm amazed a lot of people, a lot of young people don't know the end of the film, don't know the outcome or the story, and that's lovely. That's really good. So it'll bring perhaps a whole lot of other people to Agatha Christie. It was very like a theatre company. And it was because we were only allowed up in the train because it was up about 12 feet in the air, and it wasn't safe to many. So we were all up there, and in the thing, it was lovely. We liked it. It is absolutely phenomenal, and down to just a little, little handle on something, all completely faithfully reproduced, beautifully done. It's hell working with Ken Branagh. It's complete hell. That's why I've worked with him 10 times.
Dr. Arbuthnot is a man you can trust. He's a learned man, a skilled man. He's a soldier, former soldier, a man with a lot of dignity. He's a good guy. I trust him. It's a lot of fun. We played this parlor game on Friday nights. Every single Friday night we played this game called Werewolves that Penelope brought to us, and we were doing it on our off time as well. Hiding things from each other and trying to keep your poker face up. So it's it's a lot of fun to have secrets on screen, and it keeps the audience guessing, keeps them questioning. It's a dream, that it was one of the most creative, loving spaces you could imagine, and that comes from the top down. That's Ken first, but it's also our top line big movie star actors, Michelle and Johnny, Penelope, Judy. They're really so generous, and they made it so that there was no competition on the set, no drama on the set. It was a beautiful place to work. Well, in terms of mustaches, there was no competition. There was one mustache on the call sheet, and that was Sir Kenneth Branagh's. Because my mustache, I grew for weeks and weeks, and it still looks like I just hit puberty. Just. So there was no competition with that. Major mustache envy. I think Michael, our screenwriter, and Ken did such a great job of making the story a fun ride, a ride for modern audiences who have seen everything. but also making it inclusive and diverse and trying to make that train car look like our coffee shops, trying to make that train car look like our house parties might be. So, yeah.
It's the perfect place for a world premiere for this movie. It's perfect. Well, she obviously hides a secret like all the other characters. She has a very deep dark trauma from the past, and she's trying to find a way to heal that. She's very, very religious, and she's finding a lot of peace without considering that she's coming from a very dark place. But all of them are hiding something.
I just got here, so I'm talking to you. I haven't even checked it out yet, but it looks pretty fantastic.
Can you tell us a bit about your character without too much?
Yeah, I can tell you he's an Austrian professor of engineering, but in this film nothing is what it seems to be. It's true, it's an ensemble, it's a true ensemble. I mean, everybody's there a lot of the time and they're hanging out, supporting each other, and then people come forward for their big interrogation scene, and that's basically the structure of it. I mean, it's all held together by Ken. He's really the anchor to it all. But it was fun, and everybody was really decent, and people that had worked with Ken and really know how he works, so it was a real joy. It was truly fun. Amazingly well. I mean, one kind of unconventional thing he did was he shot some of his stuff first without anyone, so he could move very quickly, and he could take one of those hats off for a little while. Pretty unconventional, but I think it works pretty well. He's one of us. He knows what actors, what most actors need or what most actors are interested in. So he's really good at getting people involved, making them feel loose, and having them do their best.
I'm Johnny Depp's manservant. Need I say more? We were a wonderful group. We very quickly became a company of actors, led by Ken. Because although he's directed us, he's also an actor. And he knows the fears and the terrors of being an actor, and the atmosphere on the set was absolutely wonderful. It was like a theatre company, headed by Ken and Judy. The atmosphere was sensational, full of fun. We laughed endlessly. I get a bit claustrophobic. I would find the real thing. The one we did, the characters we have are slightly bigger than the real thing because of the cameras. I think I'd be a bit claustrophobic on the real thing. As far as Ken is concerned, he is a member of the company. He's a member of, and he's wonderful with the crew, and he's wonderful with the cast. I mean, as you can hear, I adore him. I think he's great. Well, I think there's a whole generation who don't know the ending. They don't know who did it. And it's typical Christie because she always has these wonderful twists. And one of the great twists is in Murder on the Orient Express.
I don't know how he did it, but you never felt like he wasn't completely there for you to be your director. I don't know how he did it. It was amazing. I think he did the really tough stuff for him he did when we weren't there. But it was ridiculous. He's overachieving. Hildegard Schmidt is German, so I had to learn some German. I don't know how that turns out. And I am Judi Dench's maid. So it's a dream job.
My character is Book. I'm the manager of the Orient Express and also friend and companion to Mr. Poirot. So I become the Watson to his Holmes in this investigation. It's just a huge joy. I mean, it's such a rich script. That's what when I first read it, I thought, wow, it's so rich, and of course the stakes are very high. A murder happening, and it's very sort of big, but it's great fun to play. It was really, really, really fun. Yeah. He does, man. He makes it look so easy. I was very lucky. I worked with Ken on stage before, and watching him flow between the two, I just kind of got used to it now. He never ceases to amaze me every day. I was sort of mind-boggled by how he did it. He'd be acting us off the camera, he'd be directing the whole thing, and then he'd have time to crack a joke and make everyone laugh as well. He's a real inspiration. Puts the rest of us to shame. It was, I think Derek summed it up very well. I mean, everyone was very nervous, I think. It's such a big cast. Usually on a film, you maybe work with 1, 2, maybe 3 people, but it was such a huge family, and everyone was just interested in telling one story. And yeah, we became very, very close. There was no egos. It was just one very big, it was like a theatre troupe. It was really great. Well, I think Ken's done a few new things with this, you know, and the writers, they added a few things, they mixed a few things up. What Ken really wanted to talk about, though, was in this film is it's not so much a whodunit, but a why-done-it, and I think that hasn't really been explored in a film version. In the book, it's very much there. That's why Agatha Christie wrote this. It's looking at why people might commit murder, not necessarily committing a murder and getting away with it. And it questions you on a deeper level than a standard whodunit. And I mean, the size of the thing is absolutely massive. It goes all over the world. It explodes. It looks stunning. I mean, I was working on it every day for months, but I still made me almost cry. Especially the end shots. They're like paintings. They're beautiful. There was one point when Josh, Ken, and me were doing a very intense scene, and something happened that made us laugh so much. There were tears streaming down mine and Ken's eyes. Josh hadn't quite noticed, and then as soon as he did, it must be on some blooper reel somewhere. There was just tears of laughter for a good 10-15 minutes. It was wonderful. It takes someone of very strong will to pull off a moustache like that. Ken does it with aplomb. I'm pretty sure I'd look ridiculous with it, but no, he can have all that.
Well, he's mysterious, he's violent, and he has a lot going on inside. Very protective over his wife. Well, the biggest surprise, it was they're as big people as they are actors. They're actually good humans, and I enjoyed it. It was really, really fun just spending time with them. I think I felt very protected, and I could really, I don't know, I felt really comfortable, and I got warmth from him, from Kenneth, so it's, I felt good, I felt protected. I mean, my early memory of it was a group, Russian group called Agatha Christie, and that was my first encounter with the music. And they base their music on her stories. It's very dark, deep music. So I got her colors in a way from my childhood. Right. But later on, I only read the book.
I haven't been in there in some 20 years. On my way over here, someone told me that they didn't know of any other premiere here except for a Bond film. So feeling quite honored, and sometimes the venue is magnificent as hopefully the movie is itself. You know, the task is nothing short of a joy. The chance to adapt Agatha Christie is just, it was playful, it was fun. We knew that if we got it right, it would be something that could be elegant and entertaining, and that if we did it right, an incredible cast might come together, and we couldn't have been even any luckier. We were thrilled with the process of making the movie and with the finished product top to bottom. From day one, when we just actually explored the train itself, and then coming to a stage and seeing that it had been recreated on the stage made even quite more grand. It was filmed beautifully, it's performed beautifully. Josh Gad is in it, and he's hilarious and very emotional as well. All the performances are really quite stunning, so we hope people enjoy it. The thing about a Christie adaptation is that it's an aspirational time, even though there's some very dark, sinister history about to happen. In the 30s, people, you know, they dressed to travel. There was an elegance to every meal, and there's something about that. Even just being on the set, you could feel transported for a few moments at a time that we're in much less slovenly times, and that there's still some aspiration in the smallest detail, down to the cutlery, to the crystal glasses we're going to be drinking from. There's a moment I came on when I actually saw the menu that was going to be out for the lunch that was to be served, and it was such an elegantly printed menu of elegant food presented on elegant plates. So there's something about Christie that just allows us to evoke those times.
Well, it's an intriguing story, and there are many great performances, and it starts off beautifully in a beautiful sort of world of the Far East, and then very quickly the story becomes from a glamorous sort of journey as it begins. Suddenly you discover the murder, and then of course in steps Mr. Poirot, and before you know it, we're in a dark tale. What was tricky about it was there was so many interviews by Poirot, interviewing all the characters. It was very tricky to get the kind of right tone of that, but also it's very emotional. You imagine it's going to be a straight whodunit. It's that, it's a mystery, but it's also very emotional. So it's less, it's tense. There's a couple of action moments, but it's far more emotional than you realise. He's done a phenomenal job. You've got to choose certain Eastern instruments, Western instruments. There's a real choice you have to make in order to create attention for an audience. And he allows the music to blossom in a film. So I'm very lucky. Well, yes, I was actually. Funny enough, it's a good question. I actually saw a lot of an early sort of rough preview of just a 10-minute little taster between Ken and I in the studio, and I went away before my job officially began, and I wrote four conceptual pieces based on that stimulus, and one of them, and most of the ideas became and grew part of the film. So, but the most standalone moment is at the end of the film when you see a certain, I won't tell you the drama, there's a certain part of the film that's enormously long, for maybe a 9-minute moment of music, more or less, and that's really the sort of climax of the story, and it's a very emotional moment, surprisingly, as I mentioned earlier. So that was a key moment.
Hey, Vali here. Did you like the video? Did you know it was based on a book? Hollywood often turns to novels and non-fiction books for movie ideas, but sometimes the films are so popular that they overshadow their source material. Here are some famous movies you might not know were based on books. Die Hard was based on the book Nothing Lasts Forever by Roderick Thorp. Full Metal Jacket was based on The Short Timers by Gustav Hasford. The There Will Be Blood story was taken from Oil by Upton Sinclair. Ben Affleck's The Town was based on the book Prince of Thieves by Chuck Hogan. What's your favorite movie based on a book? Let me know in the comments below, and see you next time. Bye bye.